Ford Motor Company was founded on June 16, 1903, in Detroit, Michigan, by Henry Ford and a group of 11 investors, including brothers John and Horace Dodge, who would later create Dodge. The company's initial capital was $28,000. Before that, Henry Ford had already tried to start other automotive companies, but without success. His big idea was to build simple, durable, and affordable cars that could be purchased by the American middle class, something revolutionary at a time when cars were luxury items. Ford's first car was the Model A, launched in 1903. It had a two-cylinder engine and reached speeds of up to 30 miles per hour, or 48 kilometers per hour. Around 1,700 units were sold. Other models followed in the coming years, such as models B, C, F, N, and S, each with technical and aesthetic improvements. Despite growing competition, Ford stood out for its efficiency and competitive pricing. But the true revolution was yet to come. On October 1, 1908, Ford launched the Model T, which would forever change the history of the automotive industry. It was a robust car, easy to drive, cheap to maintain, and capable of driving on rural America's dirt roads. Its initial price was $825 and kept dropping over time. Henry Ford believed the car should be affordable for the average worker. His famous quote was, "I will build a motor car for the great multitude." In 1913, Ford implemented the moving assembly line at the Highland Park plant, a milestone in industrial production history. With this system, each worker performed a specific task while the cars moved along the line. This reduced the assembly time from 12 hours to just 1 hour and 33 minutes. This innovation led to lower prices, increased production, and even higher wages. In 1914, Ford doubled the daily wage to $5, which was a very high amount at the time. This not only reduced employee turnover, but also allowed workers to afford the cars they built. During World War I, Ford also produced ambulances, trucks, and military equipment. Although Henry Ford was initially a pacifist, he even financed a peace ship to promote the end of the war. His company later contributed significantly to the defense industry. In 1917, Ford launched its first truck, the Model TT, which used the Model T chassis with reinforcements for cargo. That same year, the Fordson tractor was introduced, marking the company's entry into the agricultural sector. In 1919, Henry Ford took a significant step by buying out all other shareholders, becoming the sole owner of the company. Alongside him was his son, Edsel Ford, who also took on the role of president that very year. That same year marked a new chapter for Ford with its arrival in Brazil. The creation of Ford Motor Company Brazil began with importing and assembling vehicles in warehouses located in the Bom Retiro neighborhood of São Paulo. Moving into the 1920s, Ford truly hit the peak of the Model T's success. By 1921, more than half of the cars in the entire world were Fords. The Model T received some small upgrades, and its price dropped to around $300, making it more accessible to a wider audience. Production expanded globally, with factories in Europe, South America, and Canada. In 1925, Ford opened its first Brazilian plant in São Paulo, assembling vehicles from CKD kits. Despite its enormous success, the Model T began losing ground to competitors offering more modern and better finished cars. Henry Ford resisted change, but market pressure and Edsel Ford's influence eventually prevailed. In May 1927, Ford ended Model T production after more than 15 million units sold. The factories were temporarily closed for restructuring, and engineers began developing the Model A. In December 1927, the Model A was launched. It had a refreshed design, a conventional clutch, four-wheel brakes, and a four-cylinder engine. It was an immediate hit. Over 4 million units were sold by 1931. The Great Depression, which began in 1929, severely impacted the automotive industry. millions of Americans lost their jobs and car sales plummeted. In response to the crisis, Ford launched the revolutionary Flathead V8 engine in 1932, bringing 8-cylinder performance to the mass market. The Ford V8, also known as Model 18, had a lasting impact and even attracted notorious criminals like Bonnie and Clyde due to its superior speed. During this decade, Edsel Ford, who had been president since 1919, tried to modernize the company with a focus on design, quality, and innovation. He played a key role in the creation of the Lincoln Zephyr and in establishing Lincoln as a luxury brand. However, Henry Ford's management remained authoritarian. He opposed unions and maintained strict control over employees through the sociology department and internal agents. In 1937, after strikes and labor disputes, the company was forced to accept the United Auto Workers Union, although Henry Ford continued to resist until the 1940s. When the United States entered World War II, Ford halted civilian vehicle production and shifted its focus to military vehicles, aircraft, and engines. The company truly stood out with the B-24 Liberator bomber, which was built at the massive Willow Run plant in Michigan. This plant was so efficient that it produced 1 plane per hour. During this time, Edsel Ford played a crucial role in organizing the war effort. However, his declining health led to his untimely death in 1943 at the age of 49. After his passing, Henry Ford, who was over 80 years old, resumed the presidency. In 1945, Henry Ford II, the grandson of Henry Ford, took over as president at the young age of 28. He inherited a disorganized and financially troubled company, so he immediately began a massive restructuring, bringing in outside executives like the Whiz kids, a group of young Air Force analysts trained in management. After the war, Ford resumed civilian car production. The 1946 to 1948 models were based on pre-war designs. Then, in 1949, Ford launched its first all-new car since the 1930s, the Ford 1949, featuring a modern design and unibody construction, which was a major success. This model marked the beginning of Ford's recovery in the U.S. market and solidified Henry Ford II's leadership as a successful reformer. Under Henry Ford II, Ford modernized after World War II. In 1953, it celebrated its 50th anniversary with new engines. In 1955, it launched the Ford Thunderbird, a sporty luxury hybrid, and the luxury Continental brand, which was short-lived. Ford grew and launched the Falcon, an economical compact car to compete with the growing presence of European and Japanese vehicles. The brand expanded globally and consolidated its luxury division, Lincoln. It also began investing in youthful, affordable designs. A legend was born, the Ford Mustang, launched in 1964. It created the pony car category and was an instant hit. Ford also entered racing with the GT40, defeating Ferrari at Le Mans 4 consecutive times, from 1966 to 1969. After the 1973 oil crisis, large and powerful cars fell out of favor. Ford responded with smaller, more economical models, such as the Pinto and the redesigned Mustang II in 1974, trying to adapt to a new era of economy and regulation. The Ford Pinto, though popular, suffered from safety controversies, especially rear-end explosions, damaging the brand's image. The company also invested in European technology and design, with models like the Ford Fiesta, launched in 1976 in Europe and later in the US. In 1979, Ford purchased a 25% stake in Mazda, a partnership that would bear fruit in later decades. In the 1980s, under the leadership of Donald Peterson and later Harold Poling, Ford underwent aggressive restructuring. The company cut costs, improved quality, and launched global projects. A major milestone was the launch of the Ford Taurus in 1986, a modern sedan with aerodynamic design that became one of the brand's biggest successes in the United States. It symbolized innovation and market leadership. At the same time, the F-Series continued to dominate the pickup truck market and became the best-selling vehicle in the United States. In the 1990s, Ford expanded globally and acquired luxury brands. In 1990, they purchased Jaguar, completing an acquisition that began in 1989. In 1993, they launched the Ford Mondeo in Europe. And in 1999, Ford acquired Volvo Cars' passenger vehicle division. Ford also introduced memorable models during the decade. The Explorer, an SUV launched in 1990, helped popularize the segment. The Ford Focus, launched in 1998 in Europe, was designed as a global car to replace the Escort. And the Ford Ka, a compact car launched in 1996 in Brazil and Europe, featured a bold design. By the late 1990s, Ford created the premier automotive group, bringing together its luxury brands, Volvo, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Aston Martin. The company closed the century as one of the world's largest automakers, with a presence on every continent, strong in the pickup, SUV, and mid-size car segments. However, it faced growing Japanese competition, increasing quality demands, and profitability challenges, problems that worsened in the 2000s. The crisis became clear in 2006 when Ford posted a record $12 billion loss. This led to the launch of the Way Forward plan, focused on cost-cutting, plant closures, and restructuring. During this time, the company began selling off assets. Aston Martin was sold in 2007, followed by Jaguar and Land Rover. In 2006, Alan Mulally, a former Boeing executive, became CEO. He implemented a bold transformation plan. Unlike GM and Chrysler, Ford did not file for bankruptcy or seek U.S. government assistance during the 2008 financial crisis. Mulally had previously secured $23 billion in credit, using even the Ford logo as collateral. The company survived the crisis through deep cuts, a focus on efficiency and elimination of unprofitable brands. In 2008, it sold Jaguar and Land Rover to India's Tata Motors, ending the premier automotive group. Ford returned to profitability in 2009 and enjoyed a solid recovery. The F-Series remained a market leader, while the Fusion, Focus, and new Mustang gained traction. In 2010, the company sold Volvo to China's Geely, focusing 100% on the Ford and Lincoln brands. It also heavily invested in onboard technology, such as the Sync system in partnership with Microsoft, and more fuel-efficient vehicles. Alan Mulally stayed with Ford until 2014 and is considered one of the main figures who saved the company from bankruptcy. Ford entered a new phase under Mark Fields from 2014 to 2017 and later under Jim Hackett. The company, well, it prioritized SUVs, trucks, and crossovers and began reducing its sedan lineup in anticipation of declining demand. Models like the Ford Edge, Escape, Explorer, and the iconic F-150 dominated the American portfolio. Meanwhile, Ford announced investments in electric, autonomous, and connected vehicles, though trailing behind Tesla and GM. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted Ford's global production, which faced chip shortages and plant shutdowns. In 2020, the company launched the Mustang Mach-E, its first electric SUV, and in 2021, unveiled the F-150 Lightning, an electric version of the best-selling truck in the United States. Both were well received by the market. Also in 2021, under new CEO Jim Farley, Ford announced an internal split into two divisions, Ford Blue focusing on combustion vehicles and Ford Model E, dedicated to electric vehicles and innovation. This structure aims to accelerate electrification, simplify processes, and compete with startups like Tesla and Rivian. Ford continues to invest heavily in electric vehicles, despite high costs and fluctuating demand. Key highlights include expanding production of the F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E, developing new EV platforms and proprietary batteries, strategic partnerships with tech and energy companies, and investing in factories in the US and Europe dedicated to electrification. Meanwhile, the Lincoln brand aims to reinvent itself as a fully electric premium brand by the end of the decade. In Brazil, Ford ceased local production in 2021, shifting to an import-only operation, offering models like the Ranger and Mustang, focusing on profitability instead of volume. Ford is a 121-year-old company in transition toward the future. It faces challenges like startup competition, EV market volatility, and high costs, but relies on its brand tradition, strength in pickups, and tech innovation to remain a mobility giant. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.